The problem-solving and design process, part of Foundations of Technology. As you know, technology is using the knowledge of your knowledge and the information to meet the human needs and wants of society. So if you need something, you're going to go out and either buy it or create it. If you want something, same thing. You're going to buy it or create it. If it doesn't exist, that's what we call inventions or innovations. We create them. If they exist, we go get them. So using your knowledge and the information that you know, you create these things to help us meet the needs and wants of society. Now, first, again, we have these needs or wants. We have this general problem-solving process that we're going to use. And first thing you got to do is understand what you're dealing with. If there's something that you need or something that you want, either out of necessity or out of a problem, we have to understand what we're working with. So first thing is develop an understanding by looking around at your surroundings. What are you dealing with? And then if you need more, you go investigate it, research, find out what's been done before. If it has been done before, or is it something new that you have to create? Once you understand it, you're going to go ahead and develop a plan. The plan is how to solve the problem. Okay. Once you figure the plan out, we're going to go ahead and implement it by putting it into action. Test it. Work it out. Create a prototype. Once you do that, you are then going to evaluate what you've done, and is it right? Does it need tweaking? Go back to the first step. If it didn't work, you go back up to develop an understanding of what happened, develop a new plan, implement it again, and then evaluate it. Once you got it down correct, then you're ready to move on. Now, as I said before, we use these processes to meet the needs and wants of society or consumers. Consumers demand things, they want things, and then us, as designers, we're going to try to solve the problems of the consumers by using this design process. Again, we get the understanding, we go through and we brainstorm ideas and come up with a plan, but then we implement it by making some prototypes and then evaluate our plan at the end. Now here's a couple scenarios of how we've been faced with some problems. Again, there's two types. There's problems and opportunities. Problems are things that we're faced with and we have to come up with a solution. Here's some examples. Back in the 40s, farm costs were rising, so they had to come up with some new implements to make it more feasible for less workers to work. If you look back at the farms, back in the day, it used to be kids would stay home during the summer to work on the farms. Now, one farmer can do most of the work it took a whole family to do, and plus they're doing a lot more land due to the fact that we've changed the technology in farming to make it happen. Also, in here you'll learn how to do some AutoCAD drawings, but we now use manufacturing, in the manufacturing systems we use CAD programs to increase productivity in drafters. Drafting used to be done with paper and pencil, and if you made a mistake you'd have to erase it and start over. Now you just click the button and hit delete. So it saves a ton of time in the manufacturing process. Also in manufacturing we've added robots and computer-controlled vehicles. That makes a huge impact. Just think about the robotic situation. Robots don't take breaks. Robots don't need lunch. Robots don't need to sleep. So when we take out the human element of all those things, where they don't have to go to the bathroom, robots can just work, which then creates productivity and it's created a more efficient environment for our workforce. Now, we were just talking about technological problems problems happen because there's an issue, we have to solve it. Now this is a technological opportunity. Basically is when we have the opportunity to create something new. Look around you in the world today. We have a lot of things going on with the internet, cell phones, etc. There is a huge opportunity to take what we have today with the internet and the cell phones and create new products. Look at your cars now. They have internet capabilities inside your car. Those weren't problems. Those were actually an opportunity that somebody saw, they saw the internet, they saw the need for having GPS tied to your car, and then they put it all together. It wasn't that there was a problem that we needed to solve. It was just, here's an opportunity, let's seize the moment. Now this is the problem-solving process broken down into smaller steps. Again, it's those same steps where we identify our problem, we came up with a plan, we implemented it and evaluated it. It's the same steps, broken down a little more. We identify the problem, we gather the information, we develop the solution, we come up with a bunch of different ideas that go along with the solution, we evaluate it, we make a prototype and go through and evaluate what we've already done. So that is the problem-solving process. Now, defining the problem or opportunity. We've been talking about the problem. Everything comes from a problem or comes from an opportunity. Now, a problem statement defines two things. It tells us what's needed, which is basically our problem, and what's it basically made from. Criteria and constraints. The limits that we're limited to. For example, if all we had was wood to use to build a chair, that is our criteria, or the constraint. We're constrained to 2 pieces of wood. We have to make it happen using those things. Okay, when we talk about a problem statement, what is the purpose, or what's our main goal in the product? What's it going to solve? Now here's some criteria and constraints that we want to think about when we create new products. The engineering constraints. Who's it going to be made for? Where is it going to be used? For example, if we had to create a windshield wiper, where is it going to be used? Well, obviously we're going to be using it outdoors, so we need to make sure it's going to be weatherproof. It's not going to wither away in the rain, the snow, the ice. We got to make sure it's going to be durable. Production. What resources do we have? Is it going to be made from the wood? Is it going to be made from metal, plastics? Is it going to be made in a factory? Is it going to be handmade, custom? All these are considerations for the production criteria. Marketing. Marketing is anything that has to do with the appearance. This is one of my favorite because if something looks good, it's going to catch your eye and you're going to be drawn towards it. If it doesn't look good, more than likely you won't look at it. If you look at the cereal aisle at Walmart, there's tons and tons of colors. That's geared towards kids liking colors. There's a reason for it. It looks good. So the appearance of it is drawing your attention to that product. Okay, so marketing has to do with what it looks like and how people perceive the appearance. Now, financial constraints. Financial constraints is anything that has to do with the money. How much is it going to cost? Is it going to be made out of gold, aluminum, copper? Is there a reason that it has to be made out of gold? Or is it going to be wood? Is it plywood, cheap wood? Is it real expensive wood? Same with plastics. We got to know the cost of it in order to know what type of product it's going to be used for. And the environmental, today in today's society, in the world today, we have to worry about making sure that nothing is going to have an impact on the environment or the people surrounding us. If it does impose a threat, we have to make sure we go through all the proper conditions to make it as minimal as possible and doesn't affect the people around us. Leave the world a better place, not make it worse. Now, you have just finished your first video on the flipped classroom. Here is the things I want you to do before you come to class. I want you to write on a sheet of paper 10 items around in your room that solved a problem. For example, I'm sitting on a chair right now. What problem did that solve? Well, one could think I would like to sit more comfortably at a table that is confined to my body, so I'm not sitting on the floor Indian crossed. I'm not standing up. I'm sitting down comfortably at a level that is convenient. Or you can look at the chair and say, I have wheels on it. The rolly chair. What did that solve? Well, just put yourself in the situation when it was created. Am I using it to be able to move from one place to another, kind of like if you had two desks, you want to slide between the two? Or just you need to move around the table to get a better look at whatever you're working on. Those could be answers to the problem. Okay, it could be the electric stapler. People would say that the electric stapler is to make it easy to staple papers together. Easier than the first original staple where you had to hit it to staple the papers. Now if you were just if you use an electric stapler, you just push your paper in it and it would staple it. So your goal before you come back is to create 10 items, or not create, come up with 10 items that now when we go through this, I want you to create those 10 items, or come up with the 10 items, and then next to it write down what did it solve. So write the item down, for example, the chair, then you're going to put a hyphen, then you're going to say, it kept me off of the ground, period. Something simple like that. Or the electric stapler, to make it easier to staple papers together quicker. 10 items before tomorrow. Have a good night.